We are here at Geekin Out. I have two co-hosts with me today. We got Bear over here. We got Dutch. Dutch is back. Woo! Yeah. We got new cups. Can't really see at all, but that's Yoda. And we got Darth Vader on Bears over there.
Can you see the box?
The box.
The box. And the decanter.
We got official Geekin Out.
Oh.
Star Wars. Awesome. And we also got the Super Box. Or the Star Wars box. Super Star Wars box. As usual, make sure you follow us and like and subscribe and share all those special things on Google Play, YouTube, Facebook. We're on iTunes, Twitter, Instagram. And we are hosted on Podbean. So go to podbean.com and look up Geekin Out Network, and you'll find us pretty much everywhere. And our Twitter handle is Geekin Out Network without the K because they don't let us have enough fucking letters because they suck.
It's funny every time.
It is, but I'll bring it up and eventually we'll get a few more people that know how to type. And today, as you can see from our little border here, we're going to actually do our top 9 video games. And we don't pretend that we're fucking some video game crazy people or something, but these are just, growing up, our favorite games. So if you hate the list, fuck off. And if you like it, then, comment and tell us what your list is and go from there. This is probably going to be a continual series that we're going to do, a top 9 of different things. We're thinking about doing like a movie one and also our favorite like D&D/Star Wars RPG games one. And anything else that you guys want, just let us know and we'll try to fucking come up with a list. So, you guys have any news or anything you want to bring up?
No news on my end. No.
Excellent.
You don't want to tell them you've got a couple babies on the way?
Yeah.
Because I don't have a couple babies on the way.
3?
That you know of.
It's 3 now?
Jeez.
Gee, wow.
Of course, rest in peace, Stanley.
Oh, yes.
Over here. Let's get some, this should be very bad.
We should have done yeah, yours is too full and you guys haven't been drinking. There you go. Excelsior.
Excelsior.
Enough said.
All right. Thanks for watching the cast. Just kidding. All right, again, we're going to be doing the top 9 video games, our list, not necessarily, top all-time list or anything. And either whoever wants to start, either Bear or Dutch, feel free. Start with your. Again, this is just our top 9 list, not necessarily in order. Like this is a 9, 8, 7, 6. It's just general thoughts, and we'll probably have some.
As close as possible. I'm going to try to get it from 9 down. But
I'm probably going to fail.
At any given moment, you could probably interchange these, and I wouldn't argue with you.
So you want to start then?
I can kick it off.
All right, that works. Either way.
All right. So every game on this list, it just holds like a lot of nostalgic value to me. So. And it's basically games that I spend a lot of time on, have a lot of replay value, and from my list, I definitely favor certain companies or certain gaming styles. But the first one that I want to mention is the Spider-Man PC game that came out in 2000 by the company called Neversoft. And that game took up a lot of my time.
Did that come out? That came out at the same time, roughly, as Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, right?
I believe so. Because
same company, they did like crossovers and shit. I think Spider-Man was in Tony Hawk, and you do shit with his webs, like catching the board and pulling it. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive.
That just makes the Tony Hawk series like even better.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is fucking awesome.
What was cool about this Spider-Man game? It was the only game that gave me a sense of I actually felt like Spider-Man. The dynamics of it, of being able to web sling across an entire city, was amazing. It blew my mind. Like I can't even think of any other games that like kind of live up to it. Like at that time that were like similar. Like sure you had like Grand Theft Autos where you can run around and stuff, but to swing in the sky, dive down on an enemy, kick their ass, and then fly back up, like it was amazing to me. It had a cool storyline. You saw there was like this big a thing with Venom. Even Carnage was there. You did have to traverse through the cities, going from point to point, and the graphics were pretty shitty, but it was still pretty amazing. Like to see everything. It's 2000, but it was all in 3D, so it was sick. It was just a super fun game, and I will play it till this day. Shitty graphics and all.
Nice.
I was, as you're talking, I wanted to ask questions, and then I'm thinking, bring out Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, and then thinking, have you played the new Spider-Man game? And then thinking of Maximum Carnage for the N64. That was kind of like a real, I don't know if you want to call it like a milestone, but it was kind of it was a big fucking deal, I think, as a Spider-Man fan, and the N64 was hot. And but then I'm like, I don't want to mention any of this shit in case it's on someone's list. Someone wants to bring up any of the reasons.
Such because we could easily go off on
any
tangent.
That's what I was going to get to too. Eventually, this could be a 9-hour thing. We're not even done our top 9, and it's hour 5 or something.
So maybe after we do our 9, then we can just regurgitate just everything that we want to talk about. Remember when you said this, and did you think about this? It's. I figured that's what's going to happen at the end. We're just going to throw random games all across, and it's going to be good. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely. So that was your number 9, quote unquote.
Yeah, I would say loosely number 9. Loosely number 9.
Nice.
So this is from it was great, but my greatest I'm saving for the end.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm thinking of it there's games I'll mention, but there's games that I'm legitimately trying to save.
Yeah, because the ones that you know that you're gonna,
you can narrow the list down.
Exactly, the ones that you know that you're gonna geek out over.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, usually with these lists too, you usually start with the first thing that comes to mind. So usually those are the top.
Right.
So it's once you get further down the list, just naturally it seems like that could be the top 9 or whatever.
Yep, for sure. So I'll go in with my number 9, GoldenEye 007 for the N64.
Excellent.
Couple things about it. I mean, one, the main reason it's on the list is because it came out at this perfect time. I forget how old I was, probably 10, 12 years old, maybe 13 or so. But regardless of how old I was, it came out at the perfect time to where you have just enough friends to fill the deathmatch screen, and you go ape shit for fucking hours on end playing against each other. And as far as first-person shooters go, the thing is when that is the game that defines your beginning experiences with the first-person shooters. Not to say it was the first-person shooter I ever played, because Duke Nukem, Doom, those games all came out. But that's why I like 007 as well, is because, A, it added a tremendous amount of fun because of that multiplayer aspect, but 2, it was a console game that proved that first-person shooters were viable, that you could use a console and have just as much fun and not have that Doom-style protocol created to make the game. So 007, in a way, was kind of like this big, maybe an achievement or something like that. It was like a big test of consoles to try to live up to what PC was already able to do. For
definitely set a bar.
Right. And also, too, I am biased because 007, to be honest, actually, Pierce Brosnan was is probably my least favorite of the James Bond movies, but the James Bond franchises, all in all, have been one of my, I guess this is a spoiler too if we do a movie one, but favorite movies of all time. Shout out to Sean Connery. But that movie basically if you see the movie GoldenEye, it's the fucking game. There's very little deviation from that. Like, you've got Trevelyan, you've got Oddjob, you've got all of the characters that, not that Oddjob was in that, he was a special character, but if you know the James Bond world, you know the GoldenEye world. And they made a remake later on with the Daniel Craig one, but it was 007, but with Daniel Craig instead of Pierce Brosnan. Also, what's great about it is, did we mention this, or did we mention it off the podcast? No. One of my honorable mentions, I'm just going to throw it up now because it's got to be mentioned, is Donkey Kong Country. Because Donkey Kong Country, honestly, if I had spent enough time playing it, it could easily be top 3 games of all fucking time. Like, not even just my own personal opinion. I really think it's that damn
Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country.
Okay.
I wish that was on someone's list. That'd be weird.
Well, the thing with that is the company that made it, Rare Games, that game, honestly, it's still like one of the best fucking games ever made. Donkey Kong Country is unbelievably crisp, and 007 was the follow-up to Donkey Kong Country from that developer
Really?
publisher, whatever. Yeah, and the thing is because it was so damn successful, they wanted 007 to be a side-scrolling shoot, like similar to how Donkey Kong was made. But they decided to go the third-person view. I mean,
The first
3D,
person, yeah.
first-person shooter
Yeah,
rather than the
right.
2D side-scrolling. And what's even better too is the guys that made GoldenEye. It was like their first fucking foray into actually making a game. Like they had a couple I can't remember what they did exactly, but it was something small that they did, and it was just like, oh hey, make a 007 game, and it was ended up being the third highest selling N64 game of all time, behind like Super Mario and like Mario Kart or something like
that's
that
sick.
for it. Yeah, like the game is just, it's legendary. It's easily, I think, even in lists of people who legit know video games, it's top 100 of all time. GoldenEye is on that list, and Donkey Kong.
It's still
Country.
mentioned in
Absolutely.
like first-person shooters and stuff all the
Sure.
time after.
Absolutely, I believe it. But I ended up sitting there because once I funneled it down to the last one, the 9th one on my list, all those honorable mentions started like elbowing through for the spot and shit. And then I was just like, you know what though? I dedicated a lot of time to 007. And the thing that was great about it too is not only was it fun multiplayer, which I think a lot of games nowadays are doing, it's just constant multiplayer shit, which can be a blast, but I'd like to also play the game when I'm by myself, and it's like, you know, 10 at night.
A
I'm
single
just like,
player
oh, play.
option is
Right.
great to have.
Absolutely, and this game offered it. Especially as a James Bond fan, you get to play through a game as James Bond. It's got a fun story, alongside the great multiplayer. And also another shout out would be to Perfect Dark, which was its spiritual
yes.
successor. It was like the exact same thing, except different characters, different
Right,
story
different
and
whole-
stuff. But
like,
the
whole
multiplayer
different
was the
theme,
same.
yeah.
With the exception of the characters and the weapons, but it was still the same fucking game. But I also lost a lot of hours of my life to Perfect Dark as well, because you play
Lost.
so much 007. I know,
Right.
right? It's only natural to go up to Perfect Dark and do the same, I suppose. But yeah, that is my number 9, GoldenEye.
Number 9, GoldenEye.
Good choice.
And my
Good
list,
choice.
like you were saying too, is a lot of it's basically like, we said nostalgia and all that, but it's by no means a video game aficionado, like someone who really truly collects them and stuff like that. Like I'd feel like my skill set would probably be more geared towards comic books and probably wrestling than
Right.
anything else. But I dabble in so much that I can at least have a conversation about
Right.
things. But for a video game aficionado, this list might not be a top 9 of all fucking time, but the nostalgia and the replayability is more to the point. I decided this list. My point I'm getting at is this list is 9 games that I could pick up at any point in my life. Which I probably played these all when I was roughly early teenage years. I could pick these up now and still play them and have fun. I could presumably pick them up 20 years from now and do the exact same thing and still have as much fun as I did.
Yeah,
when I
that was
younger.
essentially my goal for my list.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know that I most likely, like, either through emulator or if I decide to like go like hog wild and just like buy like all these games in the system all over, like these are the games on my list that I will buy.
Definitely. How about
Indeed.
your number 9?
Number 9. So my whole gaming past
good.
or whatever.
So what's your number 8?
But I started with console, mostly Super Nintendo. That was my first, like, actually getting into it, and after that, it was computer pretty much throughout until present day, for the most part, with PS2 thrown in here and a little bit there. But anyway,
You're part of the PC master race.
yes, something like that. So my number 9 would actually be Mario Kart for Super Nintendo.
Nice.
Fucking amazing, and I still like think about it all the time, and I just constantly, not to like pat myself in the back, but I constantly remember lapping the second person, as obviously I was the first person, but lapping the second person, like that's how much I would fucking just own in that game. And it was so fun, and I got to the point of like knowing the levels, so you do like the special shortcuts,
absolutely.
jumping over like the hard parts, but it was faster and all this shit, and it was just like constantly trying to like beat my lap times and all this stuff. It was just fucking awesome.
Who was your main character?
Koopa Trooper, actually.
Nice. Koopa Trooper was awesome.
He was fucking great. Like, not in the usual, like, Mario, all that stuff, and a lot of other people like Toad and stuff, but it was Koopa Trooper for
Toad was good.
some fucking reason. It was just like, this guy, I'm going to stay with him, and just went with him, and it was just fucking great.
I always thought Peach was really good, too.
Peach was good.
Peach was good.
Yeah. I always loved Bowser.
Bowser
and DK. I always thought it was funny. There's like
big
these
powerhouses on little bikes.
They're huge in these little carts, and it's hilarious every time. No matter what installment of Mario Kart, it's big character, little cart, hilarious.
You saw the Luigi Death Stare stuff from the.
I fucking love that meme.
I have it. It's one of my few favorited videos on YouTube, where it's just like every now and then I have to click on it to make myself laugh. It's so good. I think Luigi might have been my main character in that one. He didn't do any funny faces in that one, as far as I remember, but he was fun. I always liked Luigi.
It was always just a reskin of Mario, anyways. You know it's true.
Son of a bitch.
Sound like I shit myself. I was trying to get out of the way for them to fight, but it didn't really work too well. Instead, I just shit my pants. I was scared, apparently.
I like that.
So, yeah.
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart, definitely.
Did they have the battle mode in that one too, with the balloons and shit? You pop.
Yes.
Yep. So I'm trying to remember. Did I play Mario Kart on the Nintendo or Super Nintendo? It must have been Super Nintendo.
I mean,
I don't remember on Nintendo, but I didn't really play Nintendo like that much. I remember N64. It was good too.
Had to be Super Nintendo.
like if it was like super pixelated, where you see the black outlines, and yeah, it was Super Nintendo.
Yeah, right.
Because the N64 had it like actual 3D models.
Yeah, N64 was leaps and bounds. Well, they went from 16's where it ended with the Super Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
And then they jumped to 64.
Yeah,
Right.
I love the era of
64.
16-bit.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just gonna say it now. Majority of my games are like Super Nintendo based.
Mine too.
Yeah, I think mine's probably.
And I really like
I've
PC.
got some really old ones, but they've been translated for a while now into other ones.
But so yeah, that's my number 9. So it's your number 8, sir.
All right, my number 8. It is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Tournament Fighters game. Okay?
Not Turtles in Time?
Turtles in Time was great, but between the two, visually, I thought Tournament Fighters looked a lot better because they were able to get more details with those 16 bits. You know, there's like a whole, palette of colors that they were able to achieve. There was like a grittiness to the character designs. The turtles, one of my favorite character designs is the bat creature. I can't remember his name at the moment, but he did like this like crazy like weird like spinning kick like Chun-Li does, but he was actually upright, not like upside down like Chun-Li from Street Fighter. But yeah, Super Nintendo. Well, they did make a Sega version and a Super Nintendo. I preferred the Super Nintendo version. It was created in '94 and by the company Konami, which is one of the few gaming companies I actually like. But that was a lot of fun. Like, me being the oldest of like 2 brothers, like we kind of settled a lot of beefs with with Tournament Fighters and Street Fighter. So of course I'd always play my favorite, Donatello, and they had like these cool super moves, each one specific to their fighting style. It had a story mode where you just play out like each character's story a little bit, like in this like fighting like game. Like it was like in the game itself, it was marketed as an actual tournament where there's like a money prize at the end. Like that was just cool to me.
Oh yeah.
But the character designs and the fighting was just awesome to me. And it expanded on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles world, which I'm a fan of. So that was just a lot of fun. And I love that game to death.
Nice.
So that's my number 8.
I like it. I'm liking your list. I like how also like your first one had a pretty decent explanation to it, like a lengthy one, and mine was like drawn out and long as all hell. And then we just like blew through yours because it's like you hit Mario Kart, and everyone's just like, yeah, fucking A, why wouldn't it? It's like, we don't even need to talk about it. It's one of the greatest games ever. It's like now our 9s are all supplanted by his Mario Kart. There's like I don't know, when I do any sort of list though, there's certain things that I don't even think of, like with Jedi. It's like, who doesn't like Yoda really? But at the same time, that's why I would never pick Yoda, because it's
Right.
like he's just an untouchable character. Like, it's just, you have to like Yoda. You can't.
Like if you like Jedi, you have to like Yoda.
Exactly.
Basically.
Like, he can't be your favorite. You just can't, because he's the fucking everything. He is all of it.
Exactly.
Nothing else would exist as far as anyone should be concerned if it wasn't for Yoda. But anyway, I digress. My number 8, and actually this is where I have no real order. So this is what I had to do with my number 8. It's actually 4 games, because it has a great block of A, evolution in gameplay, B, correlation with what was going on in the world outside of video games, and it was just great, which was WCW World Tour, WCW Revenge, well, WCW versus NWO World Tour, WCW versus NWO Revenge, then WrestleMania 2000, and then WWF No Mercy. Because what happened is World Tour came out, and this is when WCW was, they were starting to get the ratings in the Monday Night Wars, which is a big wrestling to-do, and basically ushered in the Attitude Era, or actually that was a product of the Attitude Era of everything. And World Tour came out, and it was a fucking blast. The game, it was on N64, and it was so fun. AKI and THQ, they were the ones that had their hands in this one. And the thing was, I always liked wrestling, but there were never any good fucking wrestling games, because I don't give a shit what anyone says. The PlayStation games, like fucking Warzone and shit. Oh, I'm sorry. There were games for Super Nintendo that were fun, but they're kind of campy. They weren't as detailed as this. This blows all of them away. But, like, I had one, I can't remember the damn name right now, but there's the ones where, like, Doink the Clown does this electric handshake, and it's all, like, silly stuff. But then there's really fun ones where, I forgot what it is. I think it was called just WrestleMania or something, but Hogan's on the cover, and that one was fun. I had that for a while, but you could do it was literally like punch, kick, body slam, suplex, no finishers, no nothing. You could do clotheslines and Irish whips, maybe one jump off the turnbuckle. There was nothing. But in this game, you could do a lot more. But the thing is World Tour is great and all, and I put it in because it pretty much started it. But Revenge fucking took the ball and ran with it, because Revenge was so damn good, and the roster was fucking humongous, and it was at this point. Now, at that point, though, in the Monday Night Wars, the shit started to shift towards WWF, but this game for WCW was just fucking so good. It had the NWO, but it had like 38 members. It had Ravens Flock, all of the, like, huge roster, and They introduced entrances, finishing moves were a thing. I don't think finishing moves were in World Tour, but Revenge, I know for certain they were. And it was so much improved. The grappling system was improved, which actually that's what made World Tour so good, is the AKI came up with this grappling system where it had strong grapples, weak grapples, and how you initiated them determined the move. And really, it's kind of the standard I think all wrestling games are made on nowadays, is that block of 4 games kind of set the whole precedence. But they introduced a referee. There was no referee in World Tour. In Revenge, there was an actual referee in the ring. And, of course, the graphics. Of course, graphics. I mean, look at games nowadays compared to what they were back then. The graphics will just always get better. Then WrestleMania 2000 came out. And now here's the best part, is even though I was an NWO guy, I was never really a WCW guy. I liked NWO and what they were doing, and like a lot of my favorite wrestlers went over there, but I just couldn't get into the fucking product, which is why that company failed, because they couldn't even compel people to watch that, that loved the character, the wrestlers that were going there to do it. So the WWF just had the edge. But then when WrestleMania 2000 comes out, now you've got fucking Undertaker, now you've got all these characters that you've wanted to use forever, finally in a game. And now with that, though, you get the cage match, you got first blood matches are introduced and shit.
The variety of
exactly.
matches.
And now here's the best part. This is where created wrestlers started to come in. You could make a wrestler, make a moveset. You could put your own guy in. There was a story mode. I think it was called Road to WrestleMania, where you just it was like excessive matches. And if you had like multiple belts, at every pay-per-view, you would defend every belt. So if you had 4 belts, you'd do 4 fucking... In one night, you're doing 4 title defenses, yeah. So it was a little silly with that stuff, but I mean, still, for what it was, holy shit, it's fucking fantastic.
Game-breaking, yeah.
And then really, No Mercy was great, but it's funny because I remember dedicating a lot of time to No Mercy, but the thing is Revenge and WrestleMania 2000 are really the ones that stand out to me. So if I had to thin that list out, it would go to those 2, and the other 2 would get pushed off the ends. But I had to put the block of 4 in, because that was my sports game, basically. And as a wrestling fan, that's what spoke to me, because the honorable mention was Fight Night, but I'm so bitter that they don't make Fight Nights anymore that I'm saying fuck them. But, I mean, Mayweather's got enough money. Come on, Mayweather. buy the damn franchise out, put your name on it, call it Mayweather's Fight Night, and just do the same thing they were doing. It'll work. You'll make a lot of money. You'll be all right. But the wrestling games, that was where it was at, and that made it my number 8.
Excellent.
Yes.
Remember during that time is when I actually paid attention to wrestling. So I used to either watch Raw and tape Nitro, and then watch the other one right after, or watch Nitro and tape Raw. So I was up to like 1 o'clock in the morning before school next day, just because I wanted to watch both of them. Didn't want to miss anything.
Hell yeah. Such a great time for wrestling fans.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome. But it was like you couldn't go wrong watching one or the other because it was fucking great at the time.
Yeah, it would compete. And the thing is, too, it's great. Just a side note, wrestling geek out, is ECW was coming up around this time, too. And that's what kept me into wrestling, because the fight for cable TV, I didn't have cable. So, like, when SmackDown came out, I was all ecstatic because it was on basic television, on like UPN or something. And I was so happy because now I could watch wrestling without cable, because I'd watch Raw and Nitro and stuff like that, but I'd watch it at my friends' houses. And anyone who had cable at the time, I'd be able to watch it. And every now and then we'd have cable as well, and I'd watch. But SmackDown was where it was at. But ECW came on at like fucking 2 in the morning on the Spanish channel. And I was able to watch it from a bingo hall in friggin' Philadelphia. I'm like, this is great. And they were doing shit that I probably shouldn't have been watching at my age.
Right.
But it kept me so into wrestling. It was fantastic.
Alright, so my number 8 is another Super Nintendo, Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Yes.
Fucking awesome. This is as far as I can recall, the first game I actually bought like a strategy guide for.
The Prima Nintendo strategy guide.
Yeah, like this is the first game. Like I don't know how old I fucking was when I fucking played this game, but it was like, oh, I want to get better at this game. I want to figure out all the fucking secrets. So I did the strategy guide. So I, put my allowance together or whatever. I was like, I gotta go buy this thing.
Nice.
And this is the first game. That was like the first thing I thought of when I mentioned this game. Plus, it was just fucking awesome. All the things you had to uncover and all the fucking bosses and stuff. It was just.
It was a good sized world. Like
it was for like Super Nintendo. Like it was fucking great.
And then you had the other dimension.
I don't want to talk about this game.
Why not?
Because it's farther down my list.
Fine. Fair enough.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't like this game. This game sucks.
No, you're right, though. It was a huge fucking world, and in actuality, it was 2 worlds, because you had the main world, and then you had the dark world.
Right.
And eventually, towards the end, when you had to traverse between the both, you ended up almost fully engrossed in, well, I mean, no, you did end up fully invested in what was going on in the dark world. You had to bring it all together. It was phenomenally... I don't know, like actuality, because like I said, the video game aficionados might be able to say things about it, but it seemed pretty damn big in scope compared to
other games
Yeah,
at that time.
for our young minds at the time,
Right?
Yeah, it was fucking great.
It's like buying. It's like you got 2 games for the price of 1. Like that was sick to me. Like that's awesome.
And I loved when you went into the dark world without anything, and you were the little bunny.
Yeah.
That was the best. You couldn't do anything. You were just the bunny. And you just walked around.
How much time did you waste, like, popping around?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, oh, what can I do? Maybe something will change. But I remember the gold cartridge, too. I know it was regular Nintendo, but but it was Super Nintendo as well. You get the gold cartridge as well.
I don't think I had the gold cartridge for it.
So it was just like, I think they had both, if I remember correctly.
They did.
And I was like, holy shit, like, this is the only game that has this cool cartridge. So I made it even cooler to me as a kid. Like, fucking, I love the game, plus it had, like, this difference, so it was just...
I have to say, it's one of my favorite gimmicks that Nintendo ever put out. Like the gold cartridge thing is like it made it that it added nothing to the game itself.
No, it was just like I need this thing because it's fucking different.
It's its own little world.
Right.
It's like, oh, this precious.
Well, for I'll wait till the honorable mentions. Right. I'll wait because I still don't want to kill anyone's lists.
So again, short and sweet. So
nice, I like it.
Let's see. So number 7. My number 7, it's a Super NES game made by Konami as well, back in '91. It's called The Legend of the Mystical Ninjas, and
I think I've heard of that one.
Not many people have. And I love this game. It was a 1 or 2 player game, and it all took place in like feudal Japan, where you play around as a famous ninja named Goemon. right?
Oh, nice.
But it was a comedic version. Like it's actually Japanese slapstick, kind of style
What was it called
comedy.
again?
The Legends of the Mystical Ninjas. I have an emulator of that. We will play that next time we come over. Like,
definitely.
and it was great because you play as Goemon, and if you were like the first player, and second player you would play as Doctor. I forget his name.
Strange.
No, not Doctor Strange. No. But he always wore like a thief outfit. It was like a purple thief outfit where the classic Japanese style thief always had like the headband that like tied underneath the nose. It's usually like a big nose character, but he was a doctor. I'm like, all right, no, that's cool. I love where this is going. And you would have to traverse feudal Japan. You fighting shady town folk, ghosts, different monsters, and you had these like after you like fight your way to the boss of that level. Like the bosses would just be like ridiculous. There's one where there's like this mecha style like cat that had like these crazy like lanterns hanging like on its head, and you would have to throw ninja stars to like have the lanterns fall and like burst and like explode.
Oh, nice.
But then like at some point the lanterns start moving and you have to like jump on the grid that the lantern's on, and you have to like kind of sneak your way in and just like knock them off, and then you'd attack the cat. Like it was so like each boss had a different strategy that you had to come up with on the fly. It was just so like it was intense at times, and there was like little upgrades to the weapon where with Goemon he would start off with like a smoking pipe, then you upgrade that to like a longer pipe that like it would hit like 2 squares away, let's say. And then the upgrade to that is like a yo-yo with spikes on it. And then with the doctor character, he had a flute that turned into a longer flute, and then it turned into like one of those party whistles that have the paper thing at the end that go word. Like
This is great.
it was just so comically awesome. And my brothers and I would just play that religiously, like going, like trying to get it further and further until I don't think we ever beat the game, to be honest, but we would always go back and just play it out of boredom, and like it was just always so much fun. That one is very near and dear to my heart, for sure. Like if I ever
Why is it number one then?
because there are other games that take its spot, but if I ever come across this cartridge, I will buy it. I don't have a Super Nintendo, but I will buy it just because I
You
can
get
own it again.
the cheap remakes now, can't you?
They do, but it's not part of the.
It's just an emulator in it or whatever?
It's just emulator right now. That's how I live through, nostalgia of the game is just through emulator. But definitely a super fun game. Super fun game. The character designs are hilarious. Again, Japanese slapstick comedy. Like it was just awesome.
Sweet. Well, which number are we on? 7?
7. Yep.
All right. Should we pause for a drink?
I've been drinking this whole time. I don't know what you guys
That's
are
what I'm
doing.
saying. I'm empty.
Oh, you need more. Okay.
I've been just waiting for it to like drip off the ice and getting more.
Probably finish this round, then commercial break.
Yeah, commercial break.
I'm a hot product.
All right, number 7. Which do I want
No
to
one
talk
wants to
about
see.
next? Good. I have that there, but that's not number 7. My number 7 is going to be Metal Gear Solid. I have some things to say about Metal Gear Solid, though, because it's on my list because it was also at a certain point in time. Now, the thing is kind of playing off of your thing about Zelda, knowing the beginning games as well. The regular Nintendo had The Legend of Zelda, then The Legend of Zelda 2, Link to the Past, which were the gold cartridges as well. I had both of those, and they were great. But it also had Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake. And I had those. And I liked those, man. I remembered them. And it's off the strength of memory that I got into the games later on, like Link to the Past and like Metal Gear Solid. But I played a demo of Metal Gear Solid. And I probably played the demo more than I've played some real full-length games longer. I could not wait for this game to come out. And then it came out, and it's just Solid Snake is such a badass. I love Liquid Snake. I love Revolver Ocelot. I loved Psycho Mantis. I love the story. It actually is a sequel to Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. I love the whole idea, like the Foxhound thing, and plus being younger, like that military espionage, special forces type shit. Like, it's just, you look at that with even more of a reverent eye, I guess, when you just see it and you think, wow, this is so badass. Like, I wish I could grow up to be that dude infiltrating a fucking military establishment from your enemy or something. But the thing is, it's categorized as a stealth game, and I don't really know why, because it has these parts all throughout. Like all the boss fights are shootouts. They're all like you spend some time sneaking. Don't get me wrong, but it's for the sake of infiltration, and that's the extent of the stealth. So it's not. I think to call it a stealth game doesn't put it in the category it should be in. And I think by doing that and still giving it the immense amount of credit that it gets is undeserved. If it was treated specifically as an action infiltration type game with elements of stealth, it probably wouldn't get as much, maybe some flack or some pushback, because I'm also the type where if someone says something is something and like a game or anything like that, I'm like, that's not fucking like that. Because if that's the case, like for instance, Diablo does not make my list because I played a game that is on my list that is comparable to Diablo, and because I had that game, I never felt the need to play Diablo. So, not like a rivalry of, iPhone versus Android type shit, but why would I play that game when it doesn't offer me anything different? Exactly.
I feel you on that.
So with Metal Gear Solid, it's like, I wouldn't play Metal Gear Solid to play a stealth game. I'd play fucking Splinter Cell, or I'd play Thief. I wouldn't play Metal Gear Solid for a stealth game. I would play it for an action, military-style infiltration game that happens to have elements of stealth, because you're one fucking guy taking on the world, basically, at that point. But the boss fights alone, I think, take it out of the stealth category, because you can't go through the game without being seen. You have to be seen to complete to the next step. It's cutscenes, it's cinematic, and the thing is Metal Gear Solid is one of the games on the list. Like a few of the games, I should say, are in the list because they stand out to me among a franchise. Whereas Metal Gear Solid is literally the only game I care about in the entire Metal Gear story. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Hideo Kojima fanatic. I think, to be honest with you, I think the entire series is kind of like a big circle jerk, and the cult of Kojima kind of worships him because of it, but it's not that fucking good. It's a cult fetish to Western cinema. But Metal Gear Solid is still, like, by itself, it's fantastic to me. Enough to make this list despite all of those things. Mm-hmm. The whole story, basically, though, I mean, I've pretty much said it, but you infiltrate this whole thing because Liquid Snake, he's your clone brother, because you're a clone of another character from the prior two games, and it goes through this whole thing with this story, and you got to fight his little paramilitary group called Foxhound, and it's just fucking so... I think it's so good. And then, of course, the Metal Gear itself. If you're into mechs, Metal Gear usually seems to be pretty fun because it's the only mech, so it's not like a world of mechs. Is usually, I mean, even if there's more than one, it's still like it's special because it's the only mech. So it kind of has a lot of elements to it, and plus, like I said, Solid Snake is just a legit badass. Like, he's sitting there in his cool looking stealth suit, and you put a cigarette in his mouth, and he's just like fucking leaning up against the thing with a cigarette. Like, can you imagine how cool you must be to sit there with like 8 armed guards just walking around looking for you, and you just got a cigarette in your mouth waiting to snap their necks? Which also, I would put the game in there just for the comedic value of when you crane someone's neck and they're going, it's fucking hilarious. But that game was a lot of fun. And also, it was one of the earlier, I think, PlayStation releases, or at least in its scope. Like, it was 3 or 4 discs. And the game was just a blast. And, like, when you get to Psycho Mantis, they would do silly shit. Like, if you had certain games on your memory card, he would start telling you about what was on your memory card.
That's
you like soccer, if you had, like, a certain soccer game on your memory card, things like that. He would tell you to put your controller down on the ground if it sensed the Rumble Pack controller. And you put not Rumble Pack, that's N64. The vibration DualShock fucking thing, whatever. You put your controller down, and all of a sudden he'll make it vibrate. So it's like he's moving your controller. I thought that was great. And Revolver Ocelot was just awesome. I thought his dialogue and Liquid Snake's dialogue was just fantastic to go with Solid Snake. But I mean, I think just the badass characters alone make that game worth playing. I like the storyline. I don't know if it necessarily. I wouldn't say it translates from Metal Gear 1 to even past Metal Gear Solid. I don't really care about them, but the story contained within that is good enough to make that game specifically on the list, and I just take that for what it's worth.
Nice.
You know? And that's also made by Konami. Just so you throw a shout out to your boys over there with the Konami stuff.
That's our new sponsor.
That would be amazing.
I remember playing the PS2 version of that game. I'm not sure what it was called or which one it was, but
Sons of Liberty?
Or possibly.
Those two came out after this one.
I just remember being in a box and like walking a little bit and stopping, and then walking a little bit and stopping. It was just like I was just like fucking dying. It was just fucking hilarious. Like somehow they don't see you or something.
Yeah, and they don't get. Oh, like when you fucking.
It was great.
There's one of them. I forget which one it was, but it's like a big centerfold fold out, and the guards are looking at you like you're actually a fucking bikini model, sitting there like oh, and then you put it away and beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like it's just silly stuff, but it's so goddamn.
But it
funny.
was it was fucking hilarious.
So that's my number 7.
Nice.
Metal Gear Solid.
Good choice.
Shut up.
No one asked you.
Yeah.
Co-host.
It's number 7 again. Super Nintendo. Fucking Donkey Kong.
Fucking rules.
Nice.
Country or Junior? Because Junior.
And I liked all three, to be honest.
It's good shit. No matter what.
And it was all three were Super Nintendo, so it was just like I couldn't really pick one out because I played all of them religiously. And they're all, added something to the series or whatever, so it wasn't like the same thing over and over again.
Even the soundtracks were fucking good to those
Yeah.
games,
Really
man.
were.
It's so crazy.
And that was one of the games, like, I had to get, the Kong letters in every level.
Hell yeah.
I had to find all the secrets.
The hidden cannons underneath.
dude.
I spent more time trying to find secrets than playing the game, I think. Like, actually going through levels, like, let me jump backwards, let me jump up here, let me do all this, let me see if I can throw myself up there.
Hell yeah.
And then the third one, they came out with Trixie, I think, with the fucking...
Dixie.
Dixie.
Yeah.
I keep on calling her fucking Trixie for some reason.
I thought you were right.
But she could fly everywhere, so it was just like, I'm going to fly off the fucking screen, see if I can find something. And like constantly die, but it was like, it was just like ridiculous, like doing shit like that all the time.
that might be the one game where dying was just as fun as playing the game.
Pretty
because you
much.
never knew when you were going to find something random. Like, they
Right.
did so well placing all the random shit that when you die, you're just like, oh, you're just fucking
Yeah.
like
But
so
it-
happy to start the level again.
But it was cool because even if you died, your guy was still there because if you had 2 fucking team ups or whatever. So it was
right,
just
yeah.
so you just as long as you had 2, you're like, I'm gonna do a fucking crazy shit. Oh, he's dead. Okay, I'll go find a fucking other barrel and now we'll have 2 guys again or something.
Barrels and bananas.
It was so weird because it's like a lot of those like hidden items. There was no clue at
No,
all. There was
unless you
something-
died.
Unless you died.
Unless you died.
So like I remember like I would go like traverse a level like okay I'm gonna fall into this pit. Nope, dead. Okay, I'm gonna fall in the next pit. There's got to be something there.
Yeah.
You
but
spend more time actually dying.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I don't
might
know
be
how
able
many
to see, like-
controllers were broken playing Donkey Kong. I bet it's significantly less than any other game.
I would say so.
I don't think anyone was like slamming controllers about how pissed they were at that game. It was too much
game
fun.
was fucking great.
The game was so much
So
fun.
awesome. Like I want to go play it now.
What was cool about it too, like the graphics on that, like it was
They
super
were good.
realistic.
They were really good
and for that time, like
Yeah.
super realistic.
compared to the other Super Nintendo shit from back then.
Yeah,
Way leaps and bounds. ahead
like it
of
looks
that.
like they took photos, kind of like the Mortal Kombat style of game design, where they take.
See, I hated that though. I
Mortal-
hated
it was-
Mortal Kombat.
But see, like it was. It's not the best looking game, but I love the technical aspect of it.
Yeah, all right.
You know, they pretty much video shot someone like doing moves, and then just put the frames in, and that's what it felt like to me because at some point I'm like, wow, there really is a monkey with a shirt on running around,
Right.
and this big ass gorilla with a tie. But no, it was just super like cartoony but realistic. Like I could see them. I could picture them in physical form, like in front of me, even though it was just a 2D plane.
Almost felt like you were playing a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was sweet too, the fucking grandfather or whatever he was.
Cranky
he's
Kong.
Cranky, yeah.
Yep.
It was so fucking great. Like doing all those little like mini games and shit. It was just like And of course, picking up a barrel and throwing it, and then when your boys comes out and stuff, it was just like, I don't know, so much fucking fun.
I love the way DK just like hurls a barrel.
Yeah.
And it was funny because with each Kong, they did it a different way.
Right.
That was made sense to their body type. DK just took it and just. It was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I remember I got the third one for, of all things, for like my Easter basket or something. I was like,
that's so
this
good.
is fucking awesome.
That's so good.
I was like, fuck my candy and stuff. I want this fucking, I'm going to play this game.
Awesome. Fucking awesome.
Oh, damn. There's not enough coffee in the world to keep me awake for anything.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my number 7.
Love it. Your list is better than mine. I'm going to keep yours.
Should we break for a refill or like?
Do you want to break for a refill
before we start the next round?
How many we
I don't
just
know.
do? 1, 2,
We're up to
3,
6.
4.
We're on 6 now.
So we're kind of halfway-ish.
Kinda.
All right, so we'll be back, and you won't notice because we're just going to put it together.
Edit.
I'll be right back.
Edit!
And we're back. We got drinks now. Magic. So we're on number 6 here. Bear is up.
Yep. So 6 on my list. It's a more recent game. Came out in 2016. Made by Blizzard. It's on the PC and it's called Overwatch.
Overwatch made the list.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. I've been playing that a lot.
Who's
Like,
your main?
Right
I
now,
don't know any of the characters.
but they might know.
It's true.
Yeah, I've been playing it a lot, like in between like work and sleep, just so that way I can like kind of distract myself for a little while, get out of the real world for a second, go in, kill some stuff, and then okay, all right, now back to reality. I love the character designs. I love the world itself. Love the story. I mean, anything Blizzard makes is usually pretty good,
Yeah,
but this one's
Blizzard's good
definitely up there. Like for me, I normally rotate between 3 characters. One is my top is Zenyatta, who is more of a healer. Then there's Soldier 76, who is just your basic like Call of Duty style character, just go in, shoot stuff. And then Pharah, who is more like an aerial fighter, so you just shoot up to the sky with her jetpacks and just launch missiles down as much as you can, just make big ass explosions. But everything about the game is a lot of fun. Like, I'm not big on shooters, so this really like caught me by surprise because I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do. Just being able to go in, do a match for like 5 to 10 minutes with just random people. It's a team shooter game. Just go in and you have to meet objectives. It's not just killing everybody. You have to meet objectives, which I like. It's not about who can rack up the most kills. It's about trying to get from point A to point B with the payload or like the
Holding a point or something.
yeah, holding a point, or like it's fun. Like each match has a purpose aside from killing everybody. And with the array of characters that they have, it's not just a basic, like slap a gun on somebody and then just pew pew done deal. Like each character has a specialty, which I really really like, and it adds to the character themselves. So, like with Zenyatta, he is a robotic monk. Doesn't make sense, but he is a robot who has tapped into his spiritual essence and is able to actually float like all across the screen, and he has these like spheres that he just shoots out like with his spiritual power. Like that's amazing. Like a robot who has hit transcendence. Like that's amazing to me.
That's what his ultimate's called.
Yeah, transcendence. Yeah, it's a super healing move. I've saved a lot of people that way. But just the variety of characters, the thought that was put into the game, absolutely love it. And they have a lot of fun with this game where they put in a lot of Easter eggs or like little tributes to other nerdy things. Like you would hear characters make references to non-Blizzard games. Like there is I believe it's Genji, the ninja character. No, I'm sorry. I think it's Hanzo, who is like a bow-wielding samurai. And he makes one of his lines is like, "I choose you." Classic Pokemon line. But it definitely, like, they love the nerd culture of it. So when you hear like these little things that reference something else that you know you like, I think they did a great job.
It makes it even more endearing.
It does. It does. That would be the best way to describe the game. Like, it's very endearing to me. But yeah, I've played it a lot recently, and I don't play competitive. It's just pure casual play and enjoy every single moment of it. Win or lose, it's fun. It's super fun to me.
That game definitely got a lot of great reviews. All the Game Informers I was reading, anything that I ever came across on my feeds and shit like that. That game came out the gate strong. Like, I don't know, it still seems to be going.
Yeah, I mean, it gets a lot of hype, especially with the like the Pro Tours and the competitive aspect. So, but yeah, like Blizzard just knows how to market.
Yeah, no shit.
They do a fantastic job of it.
What is it? I'm trying to think of. Are they the ones that make Diablo? They make Diablo.
Yeah, they make
Makes Diablo. And did they do the?
They do World of Warcraft.
StarCraft.
Yeah. So they got their shit together.
The game is definitely fun, but I'm too competitive. So it's like when my teammates suck, it's just like you can't win alone. So it's like what the fuck? Like, I'm not like fantastic at the game by any means, but at least I can do my role, so to speak. So I don't know, I'm just like, this guy fucking sucks or something, and then like someone will point to what he was saying, like, oh, I got more kills than you, or someone's like, yeah, but you're fucking away from the whole team and not doing anything. You're just looking for kills.
Lost. Like, we didn't get to the point. Exactly. Like, we didn't get the point to where it was supposed to be. Doesn't matter how many kills you have. We didn't meet the objective.
But my favorite character is fucking character called Junkrat. That he's a peg leg friggin' crazy guy that shoots grenades at you. He's fucking amazing.
He's hilarious.
Him and Big Monkey Winston. It's fucking great. Like a scientist, typical scientist fucking monkey dude.
And his gun is awesome.
Typical
it shoots out
like what you would picture, like that's exactly what it is.
And he runs around with like this like Tesla coil gun that shoots out electricity. It's awesome. And he has jetpacks.
Yep. And his ultimate, like, he goes like ape shit, literally.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, sorry about that." After, like it's out of character or something. It's fucking great. But that's the only reason, like, I sort of stopped playing was because I like to play competitive, and people were just bad. So it's just like
you got to practice. You've got to understand your characters, and then you got to find people that are willing to play certain characters. Like,
right.
You know,
you do have to.
If you're playing the same character, then you're not going to fucking win.
That's one good thing they're doing. I mean, I guess it's probably hard on their balancing issues, but they're coming up with new characters. It seems like every couple months.
That was the last thing I heard about. Was like some kind of update to it or whatever.
So it's like they had, I don't remember the starting number, maybe 10 characters or something.
No, it's definitely more than that.
I was going to say,
but whatever.
More.
But now there's probably double that, give or take, from all the new ones.
Yeah, roughly.
So I mean, they're not just sitting on their good product and just like, oh, you'll figure it out. We'll put some new maps out and then you guys can go. They have different characters that do things a little bit differently. Like, they're not as good as some characters at tanking or DPS or whatever,
right.
or they do it differently.
You just reminded me.
But anyway, so if you keep on
the game modes, that was another thing. Game modes themselves.
Game modes, who loves that?
Really. The game modes themselves, like, they try to change it up weekly or even daily, but it gives you a little variety. So if you want to do like a King of the Hill style thing, like gameplay, they have a map specific to it or a few maps specific to it where it's just whoever can reach 20 kills, you win. Fantastic. Or you do a 3 versus 3, 6 versus 6. They do 3 versus 3 mystery heroes where the game chooses what hero you got to play next. So every time you die, you respawn as a different hero. So you're forced to learn the character on the fly.
That's pretty cool.
That game mode I love a lot because it forces me to learn all the other characters of the game. Like, there are certain characters that I do not like using because I'm not good at them. But when I'm forced to use it, hell, I'll try my best. And it's great. And it's changed the way I play my regular characters, where now it's like, okay, I can strategize a little bit better because I expect this person to do, well, if I was this person, I'd probably use that character in this way, but I should back them up in case of this. Or so it kind of changed my outlook on the whole game and how I go in, how I strategize during the game. So that was another thing I really liked, the game modes. And it was always different varieties. You can even make your own. You could do like 1 versus 6, where you just amp up the one player, and then the other 6 have to take you down. You choose the maps and whatnot. Like, there's customization in that. Like, it's pretty awesome.
And their events for like skins and stuff are amazing as well. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna have like Halloween, like all the characters get a Halloween themed fucking skin. Like, it doesn't do anything for the game as far as power. Cool. It's just fucking awesome, just like any other game.
Love that
Absolutely.
shit, though. Who doesn't love that shit?
It's dangerous.
If you're into video games, it's what you're into.
Yeah, it's dangerous for me because I can easily blow money on all the cosmetic stuff.
That's what's good about it. It doesn't make you better if you blow money. Right. It's just, it's a cool fucking skin. I remember getting a Genji when I first started playing a Genji skin, one of the epic ones. I was like, now I got to play Genji. And I was fucking terrible at it, but it was like, that made me want to play him because I got the cool skin.
But you looked cool doing it.
Yes, exactly. I was like, I'm terrible at this character, but I got the cool skin, so I got to try it. But yeah,
that's my number 6. So.
Nice. And I'm going to segue off of a comment for that into my number 6.
You won't?
Do you find that playing that game, like with certain characters, is it like fighting games where, I would imagine this is how you feel about fighting games, because it's how I feel. When you play a character, certain characters you end up drawn to simply because, like, if certain characters are too fast and you're not that type of player, you don't use them. You can't use them. You can't wrap your head around that character. And then there's other characters that are slow and strong. And then there's other characters that are balanced. But then there's other characters that are ranged. And then there's other characters that are close quarters. And you kind of end up finding this niche where you're like, well, my best fighter is this because he moves at like a medium pace with this type of level attack and everything.
You find a character that fits your style.
Exactly.
You find your character.
Yep.
100%.
And then every fighting game you play from that point on, though, you find that character that's built that way, and they all become your personal fighting stable.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So Overwatch is similar in that regard, at least, like with their characters. Because that brings me to my number 6, which is King of Fighters. King of Fighters, unlike Metal Gear, is on my list because of the entire franchise. Because I love King of Fighters, because when King of Fighters came out in King of Fighters 94, it was, for one, it was like an arcade and a Neo Geo fucking game. But the thing with King of Fighters that I love about it, I've always been a sucker for tournament-style shit. With wrestling, since we've been on a wrestling topic, I've always loved the King of the Ring. I've always loved that bracket-style thing that really eliminates people in this sort of fashion to create one type of champion. And with King of Fighters, it was exacerbated because King of Fighters took all of these SNK characters from... you got a video game called Art of Fighting.
Yep.
They took characters from that. Ryo... what the fuck is his name? Ryo... Sakazaki, his brother, I think Takuma was in that game as well. Robert Garcia was in that game. But then it took those guys, it added them with Fatal Fury guys, Terry and Andy Bogard. Fucking Fatal Fury's the shit.
Andy Bogard.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Fatal Fury fucking rules. But then also they took a game called Psycho Soldiers, which is where one of my favorite characters comes from, Athena. Her and Kensao, the Korean team. In King of Fighters, Athena and Kensao.
What was the game called?
Psycho Soldiers.
They
have these. They're basically interchangeable. Kensao and Athena is basically if you want to play a male or female protagonist.
Okay.
But from fucking first playing King of Fighters, Athena was always one of my favorite characters. She's fast. She has a good range of. She has reflective defensive attacks, and she's got like fireball-esque type attacks, but then she's quick enough to do like the hit and move kind of techniques. So I always had a lot of fun with her. But they came from that Psycho Soldiers game, and then there was another game called Ikari Warriors. It was basically like a Japanese game of Contra, but Ikari Warriors is where they got this team Ralph and Clark. Those were the two characters in that. but they took that's 4 games right now. There could be more as far as I know, and they fucking pulled them like they came from these worlds and entered a King of Fighters tournament. And that's where I was like, I just love that concept. I love the idea of taking all that shit, which is, I guess, kind of odd because I never really got into Smash Brothers, and that kind of is a similar
Pretty
concept.
Much. Street Fighter does a very
My thing though
thing.
is like if you put Ralph and
Mortal
Athena
Kombat.
fighting shit. Well, Mortal Kombat, I'd give a pass on that because at least I can.
I mean, from like different areas and stuff, like all these different fighters and stuff get thrown together.
Oh yeah, these I mean from like legit games though. Like the thing with Smash Brothers that turns me off is Kirby and fucking Solid Snake shouldn't be fighting each other. It just doesn't. It's just fucking stupid.
It's hilarious though.
It's hilarious, but it's fucking just. I don't know.
I'm definitely Team Kirby on this. Just
Kirby for life. I'm a fucking Solid Snake fan, but Kirby is OG status. But the King of Fighters is great, and the thing is King of Fighters came out in '94, but it was King of Fighters '95 specifically that turned me on to the whole franchise because I love one of the King of Fighters original characters, Iori Yagami. Mm-hmm. He's just always been my favorite, and also through him because his similarities. It's kind of like a Street Fighter vibe with Ryu and Ken. You get the same vibe with Iori and Kyo. They're basically the same fucking moveset, but you've got like I guess in this case though you've got kind of a good guy and a bad guy. But Iori is just fucking awesome, and it made King of Fighters just so cool to me. And it was '94, and then they have good stories too, like '95, '96, '97. Those were the Orochi saga, so there was a storyline between those 3 games. '98 was a standalone, '94 was a standalone, and like in 2002 I think was a standalone, because then they got this other story called The Nests, and it was like this big. I don't want to say cybernetic. It could be more accurate, but there was like a. I don't really know what to call it. It was the Nest storyline basically, and you play this character named K. Well, if you choose to, but he was the main character. And then the latest one, King of Fighters 14, which came out, there was a big gap between King of Fighters for quite some time, but 14 was awesome, huge roster. But the game it's always been fun because the thing is the reason this is on my list, and I know I shouldn't mention this shit because this is going to be on something else. I know for a fact, like it has to be. But it's a special shout out to Street Fighter 2 Turbo, because Street Fighter 2 Turbo is the whole reason that I even fucking give fighting games a chance, because that game is so good that to me, like Mortal Kombat, I'd wipe my ass with Mortal Kombat because Street Fighter 2 Turbo exists. Anything like that. But the thing is I think Street Fighter 2 is the only fucking good Street Fighter. So to me, with King of Fighters 95 being so good, like if I put the 2 together, I'd say to me that's 50-50. But the fact that King of Fighters has the whole franchise of great shit, King of Fighters wins fucking hands down. But special shout out to Street Fighter 2 Turbo because that game was fucking fantastic. And it only had 12 characters?
Yeah, it was only just
nobody to pick from. Nobody to pick from. I mean, fucking, they were just all awesome characters, though, too. I mean, even Dalsim, whoever used Dalsim, it's the slowest character.
I could never utilize him, properly. That's one of those things. You find your character, he was not my character.
Yeah.
But, damn it, I respect anybody who could master him.
No shit. You know what I did once? This is a little funny story, I guess. I fractured my hand. There's a bone where these 2 fingers go down, I guess wherever they connect somewhere around here. I fractured the bone there because of Street Fighter 2. Because I was young as all hell, and I used to have a futon in my room, and you know the little handles for the futon, if you grab and pull, so you pull it up to a bed. So I was playing Street Fighter, and the thing is I was playing, and I would play the computer. I don't remember what difficulty. I know it wasn't easy. It could have been either normal or hard. But the thing is I decided on this day that what I was going to do was beat the game with every single character without losing once. Oof. And I don't mean losing once like losing and then restarting. I mean you don't lose once.
No, you want
it was straight victories all the way through. And I did it with everybody. And except for Dalsim, I saved him for last because I knew I was horrible with him. I got to Dalsim. I got all the way to M. Bison 3 times. And I want to say this was actually on a harder difficulty because of the level of fucking cheap that M. Bison was. I would get him, and everybody who plays fighting games knows this fucking pain, is when they're in the sliver of health where you could sneeze the wrong way and they would lose the fight.
Yeah.
And I'm jumping up, shooting legs in every direction. Fucking, you know how he goes. And he's psycho crushing nonstop. And I just can't avoid it. He beat me 3 times, and on the 3rd time, I got so mad, I fucking went to punch the bed, and I missed the mattress. And I came down and hammer-fisted the futon, just went boom. And I'm like, oh, God. It turned bluish-green. And I had to call my mother. She was at work, and I had to call my mother, and the lady was like, oh, she's busy right now. Is it an emergency? I said, no. Okay. And like a half hour later, it's turning. Now it's like really turning like purple and stuff. And my mother called back, and I'm kind of crying. I'm like choking back the tears a little bit because it was very painful. And my mother's like, why did you say it was an emergency? I said, oh, I don't want to bother you. So she ended up coming home, and I was in a cast for that whole summer, but it was because of fucking Del Seaman Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And I guess a lack of patience and an anger issue, but
And Bison's a fucking douche.
And Bison, man, like what a prick. Like, all right, we get it. You can do the Psycho Crusher. Fuck off.
Yeah, seriously.
You weren't doing that shit when I was Ken. Fuck you. But King of Fighters is fucking awesome.
Nice.
Recommend it strongly.
Good choice. Definitely good choice.
Iori Yagami. For life. Yes.
Will you finish your drinks? All right. My number 6 is Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Nice.
The fucking standalones plus the MMO. This is
The Old
the
Republic, KOTOR?
yes.
Okay.
The fuck? Woodchucker or something. Woodchucker. Woodpecker? That makes more sense. No one caught it but me. My own mistake, so that was fucking great. But not only like you could make your own fucking crew and stuff in like the standalone games, but the decisions, like it was the first game I've played that I can remember at least that you made decisions and they changed things throughout the fucking story. So you were like, you're an evil character, all of a sudden things would happen differently throughout the, further down the line. Or if you're a good character, etc. And with the MMO one, I remember specifically like playing a bad character and my face would start to change.
Like
and
that was so cool.
it was fucking
You see
awesome.
the dark side, like
Yeah. And I was basically Darth Maul as a bounty hunter in the MMO. And eventually my face became, what's that?
His race.
Yeah, Zabrak.
Nice.
But I'm just saying, like the red. And eventually I left because there was an option to turn off the setting, but I left it on because it was cool. Eventually I became like white-faced, all fucking veiny and like ridiculous, like Palpatine level
The
like
veins kind
face.
of looked like Force lightning, though, right? Like
Right. Yeah, it was fucking nuts.
That's awesome.
I was like, oh, this is cool. It's like, I don't know. It was just fucking awesome. And of course, it's Star Wars, so it was like one of the first good Star Wars games that I remember playing.
That game coming out made me want to get the PC, like just to specifically play, especially because you were on there, and I think you were playing too, weren't you?
I was.
MMO,
I
yeah.
was, yeah.
That'd be fucking sweet.
I even picked it, like, I pick it up every once in a while just because it's fucking awesome, and it's free to play now. I mean, it's watered down a little bit for the free version, but it's still free, so it's
Nice.
like, why not play every once in a while?
Yeah. Now, the original one, that came out for Xbox, right?
Yeah, KOTOR.
And they came out for PC
Both
later on.
KOTORs came out for Xbox.
Yeah, because I remember I played the Xbox one. I never owned the game, but I was over a friend's house, and he's like, "Oh, go ahead, try that game out." I'm like, "All right, cool." I remember that game gave me such a fucking panic attack because I couldn't handle like the decisions. I'm like, "No, I want to be good," and then like my friend had distracted me at one point, and I made a bad decision. I'm like, "No, I'm gonna go dark side. No, I don't want to go dark side." Oh my god, I couldn't handle games that allow you like to make a choice. Like I'm very linear. Let me get to point A to point B. Let me save the whoever at the end.
You want to feel like you beat the level, not
Right.
that you're being judged for a moral
Exactly.
choice.
Oh my god, it was.
But that's what I'm saying. It was a good change of pace to something like that. It
Like-
was just like,
As an adult,
you're in
I
the
can handle it
mindset,
now.
yeah.
But
it was
no,
fucking cool.
young George, no way, no fucking way.
Who's George?
I thought Bear was
Bear, yeah, young Bear, yeah, no, I could not handle it.
Cub.
Well, yeah, he was
Young Cub.
when he was a cub.
Yeah,
It's great. But yeah, that's my number 6.
nice.
That's great.
I had to put them all together because I couldn't pick which ones were
Right?
So I was just like,
It's
let's
happened
put
more
them all
times
together.
than I mean, I guess it's expected.
The MMO was dope. It was definitely dope. I mean, it didn't hold my attention like for a long time because I got distracted with other things. But every now and then it's like, let me go check out the
You know
updates.
what bothers me about MMOs and like games like Overwatch too? I don't know if that's necessarily is that an MMO. Is that considered an MMO?
No, I mean there are other people online playing with you, but
but you're not.
But you're not in the world, like changing the world.
Right. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in that game though, there are other players running around too,
Yes.
right? Like you
Right,
see
yeah.
them. What bothers me about those then? With Overwatch, that style of game, it's the multiplayer aspect and the depth of maybe not depth. That's not the right word. The length of the game, that's a bad word too. So what I mean is like the size, because no, I don't mean that either. God damn it!
Then you would have heard of World of Warcraft instead, because that
no, that in the same category as the Star Wars.
Star Wars,
The issue I have with Overwatch style games, that type of stuff, is that, and it's almost every game nowadays. They make them, they come out, then you wait a year, and another part of it comes out, then another year, another part of it comes out. And it's like there's no beating the fucking game. And to me, it's like, okay, that just further perpetuates the whole thing of like, I'll buy this game, now I'm good for 10 fucking years. Till the next console comes out, I'm playing the same fucking game.
Yeah.
And that can be okay, but the thing is how fucking many of them, because then what happens is one of those games becomes a huge success, and then every game after that becomes that style. And then what ends up happening is now there's 12 games to choose from, they all take years to play, and I don't know, there's just, to me, not many fucking hours in the day to be...
Well, Overwatch is just a
doing
constant. I wouldn't call it deathmatch, but it's team versus team.
Right. Yeah.
That's only. I mean, yes, they come up with new characters and stuff, but there's not really a progression
it's more
system.
of a competition thing. So
Yeah,
it's a little different than what I'm thinking.
It's like I wouldn't even call it a shooter, really. I mean, it's like a combination of a few
because
different
like he was
things.
saying, there's almost a little bit of strategy there.
Yeah, there's definitely
you have to play
strategy.
that stuff, and it's so team based.
And there are not classes per se, but like there's tanks,
Roles.
healers,
Yeah, there's roles.
support.
I think maybe it's just
DPS and all
MMOs
that
that
shit.
specifically that have a slate.
I can hear you. I can hear that.
You know, because like I was playing Ubisoft makes a game called For Honor. Fucking fantastic graphics and awesome detail, and I had a lot of fun with it when it first came out. I was hyped off of that game for the first 2 seasons. Did fucking really well too, like really well. I remember my crowning achievement in that game was I'd be running around in team like 4-player death matches. I can't remember what they're called now because it's like fucking season 6 and I haven't played in forever. But I'd run around and you see the little notifications for people coming up telling the other teammates to stop my gamer tag. Like, stop me. There's 4 other guys. There's 4 guys on the team. They're saying, stop him, because I'd be taking them on 2-3 at a time and just destroying their team while my team's capturing shit. Yeah, I was doing really well. And the game was so much fun, and they constantly update shit. And the thing is like, if that's what you're into, Overwatch falls into that category where it's like, is this how you want to play your fighting and this is what you want to do competitively, then come here and we're going to keep it fresh for you.
Right.
That's cool. I think it might just be MMOs then that I'm taking my aggression out on with that, because my thing with that is I play video games to fucking it's an escape from shit and it's fun to play. It's just the whole it's not just an escape. That to me, that's not the case. I play it because it's, for one, someone put their time and effort into the art. Someone put their time and effort into a story. I want to interact with that story. It's kind of like a 3-way thing. It's like you read a comic book, but at the same time too, you're fucking participating into it. Right. So you've got the writer's mind, you've got the artist's mind, and then you've got your mind all working together to create the story. They might do it, but you're unfolding it. It's like reading a really good book. But the thing with MMOs is, if there's 100,000 people playing it, how fucking special really is your character? He can be cool to you and all that shit like that, but he's not special in the world. It's not like you're Link running around collecting these items and becoming the man, and there's a fucking 300 other Links running around. You're just like, oh, suddenly everything I do feels so fucking inferior. Or not even inferior, just meaningless. Like, everyone's doing it. It's not special anymore because you're not the only one. When you play a game like, I don't know, any of the games really, you're making your character stand out. That's why I feel like a single-player story also helps, because then when you go to do the competitive portion of it, you can offset it and still feel like your character's relevant. In MMOs, you're I mean, in a way you can be competitive with it, but I mean, at what point are you just really just another fucking person in a gigantic world? Like, typical life shit, which, I don't know, maybe to me just defeats the purpose, which is probably why I've never gotten into any MMOs.
I mean, they try to make it like personal, but it is like you need more people to do shit basically. So it's not a single player by any means. I mean, you can do shit by yourself, but it's only to like a point. It's
I
always
like the idea of waiting for someone to do something and then relying on them. Like you said, you get competitive, and then when people fucking slack, it's just ruined. Like, what did you do? What was the build up for?
Right.
You built up your character to not be able to handle the task in front of them without the help of people who don't want to do it.
I mean, with WoW in particular, because that's something I'll mention later. But
damn it, these side conversations.
Basically, it's like whatever the next cap level is, level to that cap, and then start doing dungeons, start doing raids, and that's when the fucking gets good, and you start getting this story, pushes forward and all that shit. But to do all those and finish all those, you need more people to do it with.
Yeah.
Either 4 other people
Unless you
whatever.
can legit build a good crew. I mean, I can see it being a blast if you build a good group of people and everyone's having fun. But I also, maybe I'm just more of a solitary gamer. Like I like GoldenEye with the 4 players, or even those old WCW games. It's like 4 players on the N64, and you have a blast, and then that's it. But when you start involving, maybe it's just like PC level things when you can incorporate so much. But it's just like, holy shit.
What's nice about like WoW now is that you can go in and not being what they call a guild, which is obviously what the fuck it is, but you can just go on anytime you want and like search for this. I want to run this dungeon. Then 4 other people will be run that dungeon. You be random people, but you can still do those type of things, even raids and stuff like that. So you can still like play by yourself, but get help from other people. And yes, they might be shitty or something, but there are those systems are in place to find things. So it's not like if you have 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, you could find someone to fucking game with if you need to. I mean, obviously, the best part
right now, but I bet if I started playing them
the best part of the game, the best part of any game, in my opinion, is playing with people and fucking accomplishing things together. But if you still love the game and for whatever reason your friends have moved on or whatever the case may be, there is an option to still do the end game thing, which is nice.
Maybe I just haven't played one yet with enough of my friends. Like I remember I played one of the more recent wrestling games I played online. It was 4 of us, and it was, I don't even know what kind of match it was. Like a ladder match of some kind. But it was me and 3 other buddies that all had the game. We're all on at the same time. I don't think I ever laughed that hard in my fucking life playing something like a wrestling match. Competitive as it is, you're trying to win the match, but it's just like you can't help how ludicrous people are when they're playing. We're running around like assholes, hitting each other with chairs. Like, it's so fucking silly. And it was a lot of fucking fun. So I mean, I guess if you could do something like that, like, oh hey, this World of Warcraft thing's coming out, let's the 3 of us and then these 3 people all get together and the 6 of us go and do shit, and then we really coordinate and have fun with it and invest time to.
You can get together later in life, like even you do, let's say you run this fucking raid or something on a Friday, then the Saturday you get together in real life and you're like talking about it and shit, and laughing about it. That's fucking great.
Yeah,
that's fucking awesome.
I guess I just haven't had that. Maybe I'm just bitter and angry. My lack of video game friends.
It's okay. It's understandable.
Yes, sadly I've lost a lot of those.
I'm quitting this past. I mean, this podcast.
This past. The past sucks.
This
Just
cast.
move forward.
Fucking flip this table. So anyway, where were we? You just did your number 6?
You did it.
No, you did. I did King of Fighters. What did you do last?
I did 6,
Oh, so then it's me.
Yeah, you're on 5, right?
Yep, I'm on 5.
Yeah, yours with the stuff.
Where the fuck did we get from there?
Because the MMO stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Working out my...
I thought it was up to me again for some reason.
I did too. I
was like, oh, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, so my number 5.
All right, so what do we got?
It actually goes back to Street Fighter 2 Turbo. That's my number 5.
You looked at his list before this.
So, made in 92, Super NES, video game company, Capcom. That, I played the first Street Fighter. That, to me, was shit.
Garbage.
It was just garbage. But I did love the concept of, okay.
They had weapons, didn't they, in the first one?
Yeah, some
break
characters.
Boxes and get, crowbars and shit or something?
No.
No, what the fuck am I thinking?
You're probably thinking of, Final Fight. Where it's a side-scrolling,
No. This was a fighting game. I don't know which one it was, but if it's not Street Fighter, it wasn't a side scroller. I do remember it was a fighting game. There was a guy that looked like Guile in it, which maybe made me think of
And it was 2D?
Same exact setup as like King of Fighters, Street Fighter.
No,
that
probably.
type of shit.
I'll have to research that one because I'm curious. But yeah, like what I loved about Street Fighter, the first one, is that where it's a tournament, people of all different, like from all over the world, trying to like prove themselves and be the superior fighter, of this tournament. And it was cool because like the way it was written, it just seemed like this is like an unofficial thing, but it's like an underground thing because it's like you're fighting in the street. Like there is no stadium or anything.
I know they just kind of
they just
threw down.
Like they just know that they're fighters, and then they have to kick each other's asses.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So yeah, Street Fighter.
What the fuck's up with Blanca?
Oh,
being dropped and mutated into the wood.
It was weird.
Like
he was like an experiment by him. Like he was a soldier. He was a soldier with Guile. He got captured. He was experimented on, and then he escaped because the Shadowlow base was in Brazil, I think. And then he just like ran off into the jungle and just kind of lived off the land and just became like this primal being.
They had a dialogue too in that game too, right? Where like if you fought certain characters against each other, they had shit to say, and I think Guile and him had something.
That happened more in the Alpha series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but at the end, like credits, like each character had a story in 2 Turbo. So and you would see like Blanca like ended up going back home and like reconnecting with his mom.
That's right. Yeah, when you beat it,
and it was kind of weird, but it was kind of funny and like kind of a tearjerker, like but yeah. So the gameplay in 1 was horrible. 2 Turbo comes out and it fucking blows it out of the water. The roster doubles. It's they still focus on it's a world tournament thing, so you have all these people of all these different fighting backgrounds and styles coming together to fight, and you had some ridiculous ones, which that part I loved. Dalsim, he wanted to prove to the world that yoga was a fighting style.
Right.
Yoga, like that is one of the calmest things that you can do.
And he was so like monk.
I don't even know. He had like a monk
transcendent in a way. Like
he had a
was
monk
just
mentality
so,
to
the
it.
Floating,
right?
All that shit.
Exactly. Like he was able to get it into a spiritual level that it enhanced his body, where he could stretch for miles on end. Like Mr. Fantastic. So that was like whose ass could you kick with yoga? But Dalsim proves it.
Yeah.
Like
when he beats you, you're like, fuck.
Right. And like he's able to even blow fire, like himself. He creates fire himself. Like that's amazing. And then my favorite character was E Honda.
E Honda was awesome.
He wanted to prove to the world that sumo is a legit fighting style. Like it's not just a niche thing. Like he can win with a sumo fighting style. And it was great for me because as a fat kid, here's this fat fighter who's flying across the screen.
Yeah, the headbutt that he did.
The headbutt move. And then like the 1,000
hand slap.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
he was a funny character, but I gravitated towards him.
I didn't think he was funny. He was intimidating.
Oh, he was.
I thought when you stepped up to fight him, especially in his arena with the mat and shit around him, and he has that face paint, like the red
like the Kabuki style face paint.
Yeah, dude,
it was
killed it. He killed it.
It was great, but I thought it was funny because it's like sumo is very like niche. Like it's not the best fighting style, but here is this guy who wants to prove that it is.
Yeah, go kick him in the face. Go ahead and kick him in the face and see what happens.
I don't know if I can even catch him. He might fly across the room because I didn't even know flying was a thing in sumo.
So E Honda was your
E Honda was like my man. Like he was awesome. But they still tried to have this main story with a particular character, Ryu.
Yeah, Ryu.
Who was the main character of the first game. So, like, they still pushed this one character. But they amped up everything. The graphics, the characters, the gameplay itself was a lot faster. Because that slow-paced bullshit of the first one, oh, God, it was horrible. Horrible. But they created a new roster. They had, they enhanced the graphic, even the stage select where you see where on the map they originated from. Like, that was so cool. Like, that shit blew me away on so many aspects. And it was another game that my brothers and I decided on shit. Like, if there was a beef, like, we couldn't, like, whoever won, either in the tournament fighters, the TMNT game, or in Street Fighter, would determine who gets whatever prize. Awesome. If I wanted that extra slice of pizza, I'd kick his ass. But but even for more serious shit, like, we would just duke it out in Street Fighter or tournament fighters.
It's like rock, paper, scissors, but just way better.
Pretty much. And the funny thing is, like, I love fighting games, but I am horrible at them. My brothers, they're way better at it than I am, but I was always up for the fight. Like, no, I'm going to beat you. I get my ass kicked. It's like, I'm going to get you next time.
Ask your brother about Fight Night with me, though.
Oh, yeah.
You were there for that. So
I was there for that.
I won a lot of money off that game.
But, yeah, Street Fighter Turbo, it definitely paved the way to fighting games, I feel.
Yeah, broke the mold.
And I like the Street Fighter series, but that is definitely the best. I do like the Alpha series, where they introduced a lot of other characters.
When Akuma came along, it was kind of like this whole thing of like, hey, you like Ryu and Ken? Well, there's this fucking awesome looking badass of a character.
Yeah.
So I could see character-wise why people would like it.
Which was cool because it gave you another more powerful character besides M. Bison. Like, M. Bison was still a threat, but you still have Akuma.
Right.
And it was, like, very specific to Ryu. Like, M. Bison was like a world threat, like a global threat.
And more of a Guile and Chun-Li thing, too, at that
Yeah.
point. Or I guess Blanca, whoever the fuck. But yeah, like you said, a world thing.
Right. And, like,
But Ryu was more interested in the fighting. I don't think he gave as much of a shit about the whole fucking thing.
No, he got involved, but it was never his goal.
Yeah.
Like, it was never his primary goal. And that's another thing. Street Fighter made a fucking story. It's supposed to be people beating each other up, but yet there was this one character who had to, like, excel higher than all these other characters. I love the series, but Turbo 2, like, 2 Turbo is always going to be my favorite.
Absolutely, I agree.
Out of the series.
I agree.
So,
you played that one, right? Who'd you used to use?
I don't know. I think I never really had a favorite, to be honest. I was fucking played whoever.
I was like Vega, but I was never that good with him. But Vega was always my favorite. But then I think I got really good with Ken, and I just used Ken.
Yeah, Ken is huge in the Street Fighter community. But actually, you just reminded me of something why I like that game. Because of Vega, like, his stage, you interacted with the stage.
You can actually grab the fence. He
grabbed
couldn't do it in any other stage but his.
You would grab the fence, you would climb up, jump off, and do your attack. And another cool thing about Vega specifically, you would see the damage done to him. The mask and the claw would break off.
That's right, his claw. I forgot about the claw.
Like, Vega was awesome with that. Like, his character design and the
he was
element.
so cool looking too.
Dude, he was
the fucking like super
suave.
long blonde hair, but he's tall as shit too. Like he eats this. And the claw, like, what the fuck with the claw, man. Dude, and the mask was badass.
Absolutely.
And plus it was M. Bison's, like, little crew of Sagat.
Exactly.
Balrog and...
right, there was, like, the key 4. It was Balrog, Sagat, Vega.
He was awesome, too, actually. That was a really good character. Him and Ryu, that was probably the main part of the story. It was like Ryu's need to fucking destroy him.
Yeah, well, Sagat was the main villain, essentially, of the very first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because M. Bison wasn't in that shit.
Yeah,
I don't remember
I knew he wasn't in
that shit, but I remember Sagat,
I don't remember him being
like
in
that story, like the scar that Sagat has is because Ryu gave it to him in the first game.
Oh, that's badass.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't get into the first one enough to notice the story like that. Yeah. That's fucking sweet.
I mean, like, I'm pretty sure they retconned it to that. Like after the second one, they're like, oh yeah, because that scar, yeah, no, he got it from the first game. Remember the first game? Yeah. So, but yeah, that is my
Street Fighter 2 Turbo 2 brings back the days of, like, the fucking awesome booklets that the games used to come with.
Yes, the
artwork. You can flip through it and read the little things and see the pictures of the guys doing. Oh my god, man. Those days are gone.
They really are.
It's too much money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was my number 5. So
nice. Still think King of Fighters is better, but anyway.
To each his own.
Anywho.
To each his own.
Eeyore would fucking mangle Honda any day of the week.
I doubt that. I doubt that so much. The power of sumo, man. The power of sumo. Anyways.
That's what we need is a big crossover. Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters, Street Fighter. Everyone gets together for a big fucking tournament. Tekken. I don't know, fucking Bloody Roar. All those.
Bloody Roar.
Bloody Roar was so much
Jeez.
fun. I thought it was anyway.
Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, what the fuck's the name of that?
That was a
I
good
remember
one.
playing
with
that.
the fucking. He looked kind of like the Mortal Kombat dudes with the Cyrax and
Cyrax
Sector.
and Sector.
Oh, yeah.
Smoke.
Smoke. Yep. All right. So what are we on? Number 5 now. Which one do I want to be my 5?
Wah, wah.
All right, number 5. I'm gonna go with this. You could probably interchange these two at any point in time. My next two, but Legacy of Kain. I'm sorry, Blood Omen. Legacy of Kain. Now the thing with Blood Omen Legacy of Kain is probably one of the first games I played on the PlayStation, and a lot of people like the Soul Reaver installment in this game, and they know that more. And Kain is like the antagonist in those. I never played those, so I don't really know that for sure. And this is one of the games where I don't care about anything else but this game in particular. So the Soul Reaver stuff never did anything for me. But the Blood Omen Legacy of Kain stuff, it was so much fun. It's an action-adventure game. You play this nobleman named Kain who goes to this village and gets turned out at the bar, which I'm not going to do it, but I can recite the entire introductory dialogue because the game was so much fun for me. But he gets kicked out, and when he leaves, you're instantly like put upon by assassins. They just come after you. And I had the most fun in the beginning of it trying to kill as many as I could because you can kind of like bob and weave, or stick and move rather, and come out, because the thing is you swing your sword so goddamn slow. So like you come out and you're and they're swinging like 2 for every 1 that you can swing. So I'd kill as many as I could, but I remember the first time I played, you come out, like, there's the guy, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm the hero, I'm going to take this guy out. He beats the shit out of you, puts you on the ground, some other dude comes up and fucking jabs you through the chest, and it's a wrap. You're like, what the fuck is this? And then you wake up to the cutscene, and the cutscene is where you're making basically a deal to go back for revenge, and you take it, but you're reborn as a vampire. And now you're Kain, and now you swing 4 times as fast as you were swinging to their 2 and make them look like fucking shit, turning people into mincemeat. And but the story, the game, if I remember the quote correctly, which I'm probably not, but say I'm paraphrasing, is they wanted to make this game. It was Crystal Dynamics that made this, and Eidos, I want to say, which eventually became like fucking EA something else or whatever the hell. But whatever the point is, Crystal Dynamics I think is like the main ones responsible for it. But they wrote the story with the intent of it being a game adults would want to play. They were like, we want this game to be fun for older people. And I was young, I guess, when I played this too, so maybe this is why it appealed to me so much, is because it was like something I probably shouldn't have been doing. But the game, the storyline was fucking, it was awesome. It was so much fun, and it was a really dark game, which you're not used to, because going from, the Mario and the the Nintendo and Super Nintendo days of Kirby and Zelda and shit, where it's like everything's really bright colors, and even though there's like swords and fireballs being thrown and shit, it's still like not comedic, but yeah, childish. I don't know, like there wasn't anything crazy about it. In Legacy of Kain, there was blood everywhere. There was disease. There was, like, you go to some towns and there was plague-ridden. There's fucking bodies in the street. You get these powers and this armor that just make you look like someone that should not be fucked with. Like, I don't think, going from those games to this in the PlayStation, it was like, holy shit, this is what games can do. This is fucking awesome. And it was a mix of things. Like, the combat was pretty hack and slash. There were puzzles. The magic was pretty fun. And you regenerated health by drinking blood, which you did from, like, you could, like, hit somebody from across the room or some shit. And then, like, you'd see him go like this, and the blood is squirting from across the fucking screen at you. But that would regenerate your health. Spectral villains like ghosts and shit like that would give you the mana or magic, whatever that you needed to cast the spells. But then every now and then you'd kill something that would give you green blood, which would then damage you. But Kain, as much as I liked Solid Snake as a character, Kain is just a fucking badass through and through. And when you get to the end and you've got to make this decision to save the world or fucking destroy it, and the canon, which led to the Soul Reaver stuff, was that he destroyed the world, and it's what I did my first playthrough of the game as well, because it's like, what the fuck, you've been playing so long as this guy Kane, and you've got all this armor, all these swords, you've killed countless people, you fucking exacted revenge on all of these powerful beings, because the whole thing revolves around this story with the Pillars of Nosgoth. If you're into like sword and sorcery type shit, I recommend Blood Omen very strongly, because it's just got a mix of everything. It's kind of like, I don't want to say, I don't want to date it with like a timeline of when it seems to be placed, like some sort of plague era Europe type of thing, but it's kind of what it is. But you're not necessarily stuck on a linear path either. You can kind of walk around and do a lot of shit in different areas, and there's a lot of secrets. Like if you have to move certain passages to find stuff, so there are a lot of, like, I guess I'll call them collectibles that you can go through and get, but like the game is so much fun, and the weapons, the magic that you can do, turning people into piles of fucking like putrid remains on the ground. I mean, the game was just really fun, and the storyline to it was really good. It was very horror, vampire horror, which I don't think gets done very often or very well in video games in general. So I think Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, if anyone likes Soul Reaver, I would hope they'd played Blood Omen to make the distinction between the two as to which one they like. But if someone's just heard of Soul Reaver, don't weigh that against it, because I honestly think the two are just vastly different games. Like Blood Omen's a top-down game where you walk around, whereas Soul Reaver I think was more of a 3D. You walk with the character, kind of more like Metal Gear Solid was. Yeah. But you're that character, Azrael, I think his name was. But Blood Omen to me was just fucking leaps and bounds above those games, and especially for what it was at the time, it was just I'll say it was a mature game for its time, and I loved it. That puts it at that was the number 5 on my list.
Nice.
But you can interchange it with my next one easily at the drop of a hat.
It's a wolf upstairs. Alright, my number 5 is Secret of Mana for Super Nintendo.
Ooh, nice.
Fucking
nice. Oh, I thought that was on your list for sure.
No, it's not.
Wow.
Damn.
Game's fucking amazing, and it was like one of the first party system sort of games I've played, like religiously at least. So it just like made me like fucking, I don't know, play it a different way every single time and level up my weapons and all that shit. And to this day, I still want to fucking play it more. And even, I think there's a new one that came out recently.
Yeah, it's a remake. It's a remake.
Is it? I gotta fucking play that and see if it fucks up on that.
I'm surprised it's not higher on your list, actually.
Well,
that makes me curious what is ahead of it now.
This whole list has been tough, to be honest. Like, even like Zelda in the right day could probably be number 1 or something, you know what I mean? Depending. Like, if I was playing right now, like, this is number 1. Like, so that's why I was trying to, I mean, I'm doing the number going down or whatever, but it's still a loose top 9 or whatever. So.
Damn, that's a good one.
But yeah, Secret of Mana is fucking awesome.
Secret of Mana usually like top 20s RPGs of all time.
Oh, for sure.
It's so fucking
I would say
good.
top 10.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like I said, I just remember making like multiple profiles. I forgot how many you can have, but I had as many as you could because I want to play it a little bit differently, like each time and stuff.
Secret of Mana was a Square game, right?
Yep. Yeah. It was a Square
Secret of Mana, Chrono, whatever's, and Final Fantasies. It's like those
pretty
ones usually. You'd be hard pressed not to find those in top fucking any lists.
Oh, absolutely! Like Square definitely dominates the RPG world, or like the format.
Which, to be fair, too, their output, they put out way more fucking game. I mean, just between those 3 alone, it's like it's tough. It's tough to compete with because of the volume they put out, I guess.
Exactly.
I wouldn't necessarily use it as an indicator of their quality, but I think at any given moment somebody would say either a Final Fantasy game, a Chrono game, or a Secret of Mana are their top game.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, fuck it. That's an accomplishment.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah.
Good choice. Good fucking choice.
I'm like anxious to see what the rest of his list is for that one to have edged to
I'll explain my top 4, I guess.
All the rest of them have to be like, why did you pick the Secret of Mana? That's funny.
But yeah, so that's my number 5.
Nice. All right. My number 4 is Monster Hunter Generations.
Nice.
Nice.
It's made by Capcom. It's, I believe, the 5th installment. My understanding is the 5th installment of the Monster Hunter series, which I got really, really late to in the game. It's played on the 3DS, and it was made in 2015. Now, what was cool about Monster Hunter Generations, now I remember playing the original Monster Hunter game that came out on the PlayStation 1. And I just remember I played it, and it was just extremely, like, I rented it from Blockbuster.
What's Blockbuster?
And I played it for like 20 minutes and was like so sick of the game because it was super, super slow pace. I really didn't give Monster Hunter a chance. I just didn't like the pacing at all. Everything was just so slow. Years later, they've made not just 3, but there was like other installments too, because it was a huge hit in Japan. And then they continued to produce it, like send them over to the West. I actually got into Monster Hunter in Monster Hunter 4, which they sped up the pace of everything. It really caught my attention. But the thing about Generations, which is the 5th installment, was now I got to. It was supposed to be a collection of, you have this character who's going to traverse the worlds of the other games.
Oh, nice.
So you actually got to visit the villages of the other games. So you had one main village for each game, right? Now in Generations, you also have one main village, but majority of your quests take place in other villages. Other villages that took place that appear in other games, in the other installments, the earlier installments of the game. So it was pretty dope. I felt like it gave me an opportunity to kind of catch up on the lore, on the world itself, and by that point, like, I was comfortable enough with the game where I was like, no, this is a pretty awesome game. You go in as a hunter, you hunt down these monsters. You only have 50 minutes, majority of the time, to hunt down these monsters and either just kill them or capture them. You carve out materials from these monsters and then make equipment and armor from that monster. So you constantly upgrade with each monster that you fight. Sometimes you have to fight a monster multiple times because you can only gather so many items, to create the next tier of armor. The armor designs were amazing. The story is great, but it's very, very simple. But there is always like this end boss, like Elder Dragon. Like, they use the term Elder Dragons. It's like some crazy ass monster that you have to beat, and it's usually not an easy task because some monsters you can like put them to sleep, make it easier to capture them or kill them. These Elder Dragons, no, you can't use traps against them. You can't use like sleep on them or paralysis on them. Like, good luck. You have to fucking try your best. You better get your gear on point because they will fucking destroy you. And that was awesome. You see this level of progression with each quest. And the monsters designs, like, they were just amazing because the design team actually like went to like different locales and actually studied different like reptiles and birds, and they did their homework to make sure that when they made these monster concoctions, they made sure they got the anatomy right, why it made sense that there would be this half of the monster would be like this, would be one animal, this other half would be in another animal, and why they will live in this particular area. So for instance, there is a shark. There's a 4-legged shark monster that blows itself up like a balloon, like a frog would, right? Where like the frog would croak and like the whole like belly would kind of open up and expand. The shark did the same thing too, but because it was in an Arctic setting, it had an ice attack. So it was actually building up this strong ice attack inside of it to then like bellow out this like blizzard at you. And then it would use that blizzard to armor itself up with fucking icicles on it, so it made it harder for you to kill it. And it would dive into these icy areas, like, because majority of the area was on a frozen lake. It would dive into the lake because it was a fucking shark and swim its way over, and then just fucking jaws attack you. And good fucking luck trying to beat that thing, but when you do, it was fucking amazing. Like, you felt this sense of accomplishment. And the worlds that they created, the environments they created, they had different elements that you had to fight against as well. A cold setting, you had to make sure you constantly drank this hot drink so that way you weren't freezing. Because every time you were freezing, you would lose life. Like, they really paid so much detail to this game and to the other games of the series. I never gave it enough credit. So when it came to that Generations, I was like, holy fuck, I really missed out on an amazing series. I'm so glad that this game proved me wrong. This wasn't a shit game. I'm glad I got to it when I did. And the detail, the artwork, the world itself, I love it. I love it all. Plus, I love portable games. And it was just a massive game to just fit on a 3DS.
The fact that you said it's on a 3DS, I've had to remind myself as you talked about it, that was on a fucking 3DS.
It's insane. And then they have multiplayer, so you can have other people chime in too, but you can only make a team of 4. Super easy to coordinate. You each have your set weapons, and then you just go out and just try to hunt this monster down or capture it as a team. And it was great. It's fantastic. Any more than that, it would be ridiculous. And if you wanted to challenge yourself and just go in by yourself and hunt this monster down, shit, good luck. It was awesome. Like, it really tested you as a player. But if you wanted to team up, you had that option too. Whether it be with local play with friends or online. It was just so awesome. So fucking awesome. So the Monster Hunter Generations, if you want to get like a quick, like, was it like a spark notes of like the other games, get that game, get Generations, but still enjoy like all the new like aspects of the game that has progressed over the years. Super fun game.
How many of them have come up between that one and the newest one that just came out?
Let's see, they've made an enhanced version of Generations, which is now on Switch, and then they've made Monster Hunter World, which is
that's the new one, right?
That's the newest one, where they treat it differently than the main games, but they still kept a lot of the elements. But because it's on the PlayStation 4, it achieves a much higher quality of graphics, gameplay, and accessibility too, with the online features. Because you still maintain that 4-man team. But now you're able to interact with people like way further out in the world. So like you can play with other like Japanese players if you're up at the right time. Where it seemed like the DS was more localized, based on regions. But yeah, I fucking love the series now. I do play Monster Hunter World. I do enjoy that, but Monster Hunter Generations was the game that really like I invested a lot of hours into it, and I just love it. That game just really like won me over.
It's great when you can like overlook a few games in a series, and then one of them though just kind of catches your eye and ends up just making you miss, like just regret missing those other ones. Like, oh, why did I write this off?
Yep,
that's good.
That's what.
But maybe those just shook the rust off on those first couple of games, and then all of a sudden got its fucking shit going. And then got you in. So good for them for learning from what was turning off players in the beginning.
Because then you took your feedback.
Yeah, right. You matter, Bear. You matter.
And I gotta say, Capcom, fucking great fucking job. I am definitely a Capcom fanboy, as you will see further on my list as well.
I wonder what else is on the list.
But yeah, that's my 4. That's my number 4.
Nice. Should we pause again for piss and refill?
You want to drink piss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
we're going to drink piss.
Out of me and then